Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the podcast, episode 252 of the Michael Lab Show. And I hope everyone is doing well out there. Happy Easter. I have, don't be nervous. This is easy. Don't be nervous. You can do this. You have done this task before. So funny when you date somebody who I will go out on a limb here and I will say I did not know what it meant to be an anxious human being before I met an anxious human being. I had no idea. I didn't know what that meant. I grew up in a time, not a time, because I think anxiety was a thing while I was alive. I don't think it's something that I didn't that wasn't going on at my age in the world that I grew up in. But I definitely did not grow up in a house that really talked much about anxiety. Um, so for me, when I started dating my girlfriend, um, I was like, "What is going on? I don't understand it." I didn't understand what it meant to be an anxious person. Like I had no idea. Is the lighting better in here? I kept the closet light on this time just to amplify the mood of the podcast. It is very hot. I am an idiot, and I put on my jacket because it's white. I have a white shirt on, and white on white looks horrible. And I'm a white person too, so like white person, white shirt, white wall looks bad. So I couldn't do that. Can't do that. That'd be a bad idea. But yeah, guys, happy Easter! Thank you so much for joining me for another episode. We are we're moving right along. I kept my promise. I told you guys an episode a week. I told you an hour-long podcast. Kept my promise. Last episode, I completely was off the mark. I said I was going to visit my family. I was I was one whole week behind, like an idiot, because that's just what I do. I don't ever know what's happening in my life ever at all times. Do you like this jacket? I have like a Levi jacket on. But we're actually leaving soon in like an hour or so, 2 hours. We're gonna go visit my family, do Easter. I'm gonna stop by and meet a few friends, just talk to a few of my friends, just catch up, see what's going on. Um, Sometimes there's people in your life that you need advice from, people that are slightly older than you, people that understand you, and people that have been in your situation. And like for me, I am current like I said, I'm just been door dashing. I'm making like $600 a week on that. Nothing crazy, but for where we live, $600 a week is like good. Like that's above average 24 grand a year, right? No, six. What does that come out to? 600, 12, 2400 a month times 12. Yeah, so about $28,000 a year, about 25 after taxes and all that. Um, but I have been applying to jobs the whole time. That was my plan, was to just DoorDash until I get myself a decent job. I've been applying to a bunch of positions. I've been applying to I applied to be a manager at a VA hospital up here in Salem, Virginia, which is a huge hospital. I also applied to be a marketing lead for Roanoke County Public Schools. Haven't heard back from them yet. Those Since that's a federal and a county position, they usually don't reach out to people until they close the um the uh the people signing up, or the people filling out the applications. Uh, so I'm gonna wait for that. I think it's like the 22nd is when both those applications end. But in the meantime, I've also been applying for different positions. I've been applying for a couple of like remote positions. That would be nice to have, nice to get. But I also did apply for a sales and marketing position at State Farm. You know, me saying that goes like, what the hell? It's a sales and marketing is something that I know I'm good at. Like I've done it for a long time. Even like back in the day when I was at the restaurant. Like technically, I'm selling things, upselling things, starting the clothing company. I know how to market. I know how to sell. The podcast, growing the podcast. Obviously, that's marketing and selling there as well. Um, and I actually heard back from them, and I sent up an interview. So this podcast is coming out after Easter. So the following week, I think the 26th, I have an interview. It's in Rocky Mountain, Virginia, which is about 35 minutes away from where we currently live in Roanoke. Um, it's a decent paying job. Um, and it's a salary based job. It has all the benefits. It's a 9 to 5 position. Taylor and I sat down with a long talk, and we're kind of at the point now in our lives where we just want to use these next 5 years, 5 to 10 years, to save our fucking money, invest our fucking money. We want to build up like a empire. Like, I mean, this girl's a savage, dude. She's an absolute savage. She leads, she like leads with logic too. Like, she's a smart person, and it's so refreshing to see a smart person like speak to a smart person. And like, she doesn't lead with biases. Like, she leads with like science first. She leads with her brain first. She's smart. Wherever the data goes, like, that's where she goes. And it's like, it's so nice to meet people like that, and like especially to have one that's really close, like my girlfriend, my future wife. It keeps me in check. It keeps me rational. I have a tendency to like not lose my mind, but I'm definitely a little I'm a little crazy, I think, for lack of better terms. But it's, we've been talking, like, we at lunch we had like an hour and a half talk where we just talked about like rental properties, like building a real estate thing. Using like first time. She's a savage, right? And she's really good at her saving her money. I'm really good at saving my money, and it's like we've gotten ourselves to a point now in a relationship where we're just so solid, and like we've talked about it. Like, we want to use these next 5 to 10 years to do whatever the fuck we want to do. We want to start. We want to build an empire. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but like we want to build rental properties. We want to travel. We want to live in different cities. Like, we love Roanoke. It's a fun city, and we're happy to live here. We're gonna live here for the next year to 2 years. But like after that, bro, like, we're out, dog. We're gonna go to Tampa, then maybe go to the West Coast, like, who knows? Like, and we're both at an age now. I think this is a vital age for people between 20, 23 to like 28. These are like these are the years where you really go like, am I going to accept being miserable my entire life? Because at like 23, 24, 25, if you're doing the right thing, deep down inside. And if you try to do things to distract yourself from recognizing those feelings, whether it be partying, drinking, smoking, you know, doing things that doesn't allow you to really stop and think about your life, going like, damn, am I happy with what I'm doing? And I think you see a lot of people at 30 in a position where it's like, like, one of the persons that people that I consider a closest friend of mine, he is someone who refuses to live a life that is boring, and I wasn't going to I might have been going down that path where I met him, and it's like, he lives a life where he does whatever the fuck he wants to do. And I, for so long, I mean, within the past 3 years, I've recognized that that's what you should do. That's what you should want to do. And I am at that point now. Like, Taylor and I are at that point now where we will work somewhere so we can live there. I'm not gonna. It sounds dumb, and there's something empowering about what I did with that last occupation. I decided I didn't want to do it, so I didn't do it. And like, that's a powerful thing to do. And a lot of people won't do that. A lot of people are scared. A lot of people are nervous. Like, a lot of people don't want to like shake the snow globe. Like, you got to shake the motherfucking snow globe if you want to be happy. Like, who doesn't want to travel? Like, who doesn't want to live in different places? Just because you were born somewhere doesn't mean that's where you should, live your life, bro. Like, there's so much out there. There's so much of the country out there, bro. Like, it'd be so cool to live in Tampa. It'd be cool to live in Austin. It would be cool to live in like, I don't know, like, Portland even. It would be cool to live in California. Like, it would be cool to live in New York City maybe. Like, it would be cool to live in all these places. And like, it's such a wild time to live in this world because you can do that. You can find jobs in different places. And I think employers now understand that employees are not career long employees. And if they don't understand that, they're gonna have to start learning that. Because kids my age, people slightly older than me, people younger than me, we're not looking to work at the same location at the same company for 30 plus years. Like, get out of here, bro. We're not doing that. We're here to live one life, and we live in America, the greatest country in the world. And I'm gonna get into that topic because I'm not angry, but I'm just confused with people lately. Um, fuck, dude, America's the best. And I don't I would never back down to that. I'm never gonna be someone who says America. I'm also never gonna be someone who says America doesn't fuck up a lot. I'll get into that later. I'm not gonna get into that right now. But like, I just want people to realize that this is all you have. If you're 25 and you found a job that's paying you six figures, but you fucking hate it, like, what are you doing, dude? Just put a syringe and end your life. I mean, you're gonna live a life where you want to kill yourself. Like, don't do that. That's a bad idea. Like, there's so many times where I talk to people and you see them in a position and they know they tell you that they hate what they're doing. It's like, why are you doing it? Taylor and I, we have this talk all the time. Like, you get yourself in situations and the power of debt is the call. Debt keeps the society organized. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is it's hard to control people, right? It's not easy. You make up rules, religions come in, societies adapt those rules from a religion. America was built off the back of Christianity, in the sense that the Ten Commandments, a lot of those Ten Commandments are embedded in our Constitution. The Constitution is an extrapolation of the Ten Commandments in a lot of ways, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing because I think overall the Constitution is a solid fucking document, solid document, especially when it comes to executive branch, judicial branch, legislation branch, and the way that those things all interact. It's fucking magnificent. It's kind of insane if you really sit down and think about it. If all you fucking anti-American haters out there and the people that say this country's going to shit and all those people that say the Republicans are the worst people in the world and to say that, Trumpers are tearing up the world, and for those to say if you don't do the vaccine, you're a piece of shit. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was talking to Taylor about this yesterday, like this whole idea of follow the science. Or people were wearing shirts with Dr. Fauci's face on the chest, and people were saying things like, if you don't trust it, I trust the science, that's why I'm vaccinated. Well, if you really trust the science, you wouldn't be wearing a mask outside. If you really trust the science, the only mask you would be wearing would be an N95. If you really trust the science, you would be fine going into a store without a mask. If you trust the science, you see what I'm saying? Science is only a measurement of what the data currently says, but science is not a measurement of the future data. A lot of people are refusing to get the vaccine. God bless those people. You heard that. God bless those people. Fuck the vaccine. Don't get it if you don't want it. I'm at the point now where it's like, I don't want to get into COVID talk. I don't want to get into COVID talk. Because god damn, it's hot, dude. I worked out and then I didn't shower, and then I put on this jacket because I didn't want to look like a loser with this white on white, and I can't take it off now because I'm literally stuck in a fucking corner. I'm stuck in a corner. I'm like in a little prison jail cell. So tiny in here. But I don't know. We had a long talk and we're like, um, we don't want to look back at our 20s and be like, man, we should have done this and that. We refuse to do that. And I think if you can find somebody who, if you want to build a relationship with someone, you're gonna have to work really fucking hard. It's not easy. It's not easy. I know a lot of guys out there do, and I mean guys is in with a dick. I don't mean guys is I say guys a lot. I mean girls a lot, but I'm talking about testicle hanging men and trans men too. Um, or anybody who just feels like a man. Like you, there's a lot of times where you've ruined something because of your own pride and your own ego, and and I've been that person. I've done that. I did that in this one with this beautiful person. I refuse to let myself learn. I refuse to put the work in to learn about me, you know. I denied things that were true, and I think if you get in a pattern where you start living and you start going into relationships, and the moment that insecurities start to appear, and the moment that the road goes from pavement to rocky, you run the other way. I think that is going to have a direct translation on your life as your life. Like those are the moments that you build stronger foundations off of. I remember when I enlisted myself into enlisted. I'm fucking going to Vietnam to fucking kill people. No, I remember when I signed up for therapy, dude. It was the most at the time. It was embarrassing. I felt like a fraud. I felt like I was a failure. I felt weak. I felt dumb. I was like, "What are you doing here, bro? Don't go to therapy, man. You're an idiot." Um, and I remember the first time I picked up a book and read it. It was Behave. Like that's I have a personality where if I do something, it becomes a little I get preoccupied, I think, for lack of better terms. But I knew I had to do something to change my relationship with myself so I could change my relationship with the way I interface with the world. And that's scary. You don't want to do that, especially if you're in a body that you are used to, and your excuses are validated because of your actions. You can't do that. You got to disconnect your excuses with your actions. And then once you start changing your actions, you can start changing the way you interface with the world. Uh, I had to do that. I did that. I started reading everything. I read everything. That's something that I think people don't understand. Like, I post these things on social media, and I get reactions sometimes from people that are concerning, right? I get people that say things like, "You don't know what you're talking about." Like, this is the reason why Republicans suck. I've heard people literally say cops are terrible people, and it's but dude, trust me, like I understand the other viewpoint on everything. I understand there's people who are pro-abortion and how annoying and frustrating it is when states like Texas and Florida pass these rules that say no, you can't have an abortion. I understand how frustrating it must be when you get a president in office who is a Democrat and you have all these expectations because this person tells you that they're going to do this, they're going to do that, they're going to go green. We're going to go green, electric cars, no more gas. We're going to pull troops out of Afghanistan. War is going to be over. We're going to pass this infrastructure bill and blah 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 blah. All these things that become broken promises. We pull troops out. We go to the war. The world is at war with the Ukraine. Hunter Biden is now being investigated by the feds. Um, uh, we're at an all-time high of oil being a primary source right now. Um, Infrastructure bill did not pass. Inflation's at an all-time high. Those who are poor are going to become poorer. Those who are on the lower end of the middle class are going to become pushed down on the lower end of the middle class to the poorer side. Those who are wealthy are just going to become wealthier. Those who have assets, have ownership in huge corporations are going to become wealthier. And that's a world that you're going to live in. And I understand it's got to be it's got to be very frustrating. It's also got to be very frustrating when you held on to COVID for so long, and you still are holding on to it, and now the science is coming out that we don't need to be locked down, that we don't need to wear a mask, and then you see this bullshit in Philadelphia. Like, what the fuck was that? That's like, that's crazy. That's lunacy. Like, that's when you lost your mind, because the science shows now that the masks are not necessary, and if you do wear a mask, you should wear an N95. The head of the WHO has openly said, cloth masks do nothing. So now when you wear a mask, what are you wearing a mask for? Are you wearing a mask because you are very, very immune compromised? That's understandable. But are you wearing a mask because you're signaling that you're not a Trump supporter, which is crazy because that man is vaccinated 3 times. Um, I just think we're at a point now where the world has lost its mind. People have lost his mind. People who felt like they were on top are losing control. And a lot of those people, I think there's a high correlation of mental illness in those people. People who were locked down for 2 straight years and actually did lock themselves down for two. I didn't do that. I was out by June. I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, by March, April, May, I was already out in May. Like, I was right when the numbers started coming out with how bad COVID is, I was like, "Okay, I'm not afraid. I don't care." Like, and, call me ignorant. I don't, whatever. I never got COVID. Um, I wore a mask when there was rules to wear a mask and when the science, was kind of iffy on that subject. But I think a lot of people right now that are out there screaming and angry, I think the mental illness is at all time level. And I know if you're listening to this right now and you're somebody going like, "That's not me," like, it probably is you. You probably are reluctant to the fact that we're getting back to normal. And I think a lot of these people who, pre-pandemic, these were marginalized human beings. These were people that, maybe didn't feel like they had much power in the world. And I think during COVID, it gave a lot of power to those who were just mentally ill and had Twitter and had Facebook and had Instagram. And I think it drove people crazy. I know people that continuously argue with me and I don't say anything back to them. I say nothing back to them. Calling me an idiot, saying I'm a dumb Republican. It's like, first of all, I'm not even a Republican. Like that's what's kind of crazy. Like, I'm not a Republican at all. I've never voted Republican in my life. Ever. Not once. I didn't vote for Trump and Hillary. Long story. Couldn't get myself to vote for Trump. Couldn't get myself to vote for somebody who's married to a pedophile, allegedly, Bill Clinton. Um, and then in 2020, I didn't vote for Donald Trump, and I did not vote for Joe Biden. I voted for an independent. I voted for Joe Jorgensen. I like to say I'm a libertarian, and I know people say, you're a wasted vote. That's fine. I don't care. Like, I believe in Republicans in terms of money. I do. I do. I believe in capitalism. I'm a fucking capitalist. And here's one thing that people need to start realizing very, 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 very quick. If you're going to argue that capitalism is the root of all evil, if you're going to say billionaires suck, stop saying it on social media that is owned by shareholders who are capitalist. Stop saying that then, because you're supporting capitalism while you're angry. If you're putting it on Twitter, you're supporting capitalism. If you look at your clothes right now, what are you wearing? You wear Nike, you're supporting capitalism. You wear Lululemon, you're supporting capitalism. If you're putting it on an iPhone, you're supporting capitalism. Oh, and also if you're putting it on an iPhone, you're also contributing to child slavery, work slavery out in China. Didn't did you just ignore that? Do we just act like that's not real? Like, how far do you take it down? Like, are you gonna call me a fucking idiot because I think it's hilarious that CNN Plus is only getting 10,000 downloads, or that studies are coming out now that California didn't deal with the pandemic nearly as well as Florida did? Or are you gonna argue science? Was science right then when they said the vaccines were good, or is science wrong? Is it wrong now when studies come out that you don't agree with? Like, you really gotta look at yourself here. Like, a lot of people are gonna spend a lot of time looking at themselves because there's a lot of bullshit going on. There's a lot of contradictions. And there's a lot of people out there who don't want to believe that it's time to move the fuck on. It's over. Philadelphia, what are you doing? What are you doing? That is crazy. And if you don't think, I feel bad for people who are far left, and I feel bad for people who are Democrats because you've dug your own grave. You really have, and I know that sucks. But what's going to happen is 2022, the end of 2022, the House and the Senate are both going to be Republicans. So everything that Joe Biden tries to put through is not going to get through because the House and the Senate are going to be Republicans. Donald Trump's going to run in 2024. He's going to crush. He's going to crush. Who are they going to put in as a Democrat president? Who are they? Who are you going to run? Who's going to run against Donald Trump? Nobody wants to. I swear to God, nobody wants to. Um, I mean, what are you going to put up against him? Hillary Clinton? I mean, that's who they're going to put up. Um, Joe Biden? There's no way. Kamala Harris? Absolutely not. Especially after, I mean, by 2024, hopefully we're out of a recession because right now the economy is eating dog shit right now. I mean, 8.5% inflation, and they still wanted to put another package through that was $1 trillion. Fuck out of here. I'm not even an economist. I'm not a trained economist, but The second package that went through, in my head, I go, that's not good. I remember telling Taylor, I was like, hey, just so you know, inflation's going to be bonkers. And people who don't have money invested are going to lose money in their savings account. A lot of money in their savings account. And people who are getting 3% raises, 1% raises, they're still going to be losing money. And then like there was this whole like thing that people were saying it's transitory, it's not going to happen, like real economic professionals, like professors, like intelligent people were saying that. And in my head I go like, you can only put so much water in a fish tank before it overflows. It can only contain so much water. An economy can only contain so much money, and we put so much money into it. So much money. I forget the stat. I think it was like 20% of every dollar in the economy right now was printed in 2020. That's crazy. And guess whose fault that is too? That's Donald Trump's fault and that's Joe Biden's fault. Like, I'm not placing blame on one person or the other. But that is my argument against people. And this is a normal thing. Like, this happens every decade. There's those who, and this is honestly, what's beautiful about this whole situation is this is what makes democracy so beautiful. And like ultimately, I think this is why this country is the best, because you can have so much hatred for one person. You could hate Donald Trump so much, like people did. People hate him. I thought he was an absolute fucking scumbag as well. That's why I didn't vote for him, because he's a fucking scumbag. I wouldn't want him. I wouldn't want him to be my grandfather of my kids. I wouldn't want him to interact with any of my daughters. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like he's that kind of person. Like he's the guy that you meet at the bar for a couple laughs. Um, but he's not the guy who should be running the country. He's divisive as fuck. He really is. He divided the country a lot, and that shit's annoying. It's frustrating. But also people gave into a lot. Like people took him very serious, which was always kind of funny to me because he's a crazy person. Um, I don't know. I just think it's gonna take a while for us to get back on our axis, but I think once we do, we're fine. Uh, I think people are just struggling right now. I think that Will Smith thing was, you saw a man who's in a lot of pain. I'm not saying what he did was okay. You should never slap a comedian. You should never slap anybody. That's assault. He should be arrested for that. He could be arrested for that. And Hollywood is such a fucking joke. That was the epitome of a joke. And comedians are the fucking godsend right now in the world that we live in right now, because everything should be made fun of. I don't care who you are, you should be made fun of right now. You should be made fun of right now. That's just, you know, that's what it is. You know, I think comedians are the most important people in society. If you can't laugh at things, if you can't make fun of things, I mean, you have a horrible society, because things are funny, dude. That Don't Say Gay bill, that's hilarious that they named it Don't Say Gay. Like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? That's so dumb. That's crazy. Um, I don't know. There's also this thing that's happening with I put a bunch of notes here. I don't know where they are. I always write down notes of like what the fuck I want to talk about, because I always have so many ideas that just pop up in my head. Um, the people who I think a leading indicator of someone's intelligence level is the ability to admit when they're wrong. I think that's the pinnacle of intelligence. And if you can't do that, uh, I think if you end up in a society where and a lot of it has to do with social media. This is the reason why I'm not on social media. I'm back on it a little bit here and there for my podcast, but outside that, I'm not really using it. I think there's a real issue with social media in the sense, and here Tim Dillon was talking about this. I was talking to Taylor about it a few weeks ago, and I really do think it's true. And I think what I'm about to say, if you're listening, you probably don't believe me. You probably think the opposite. But I swear to God, I think social media is going to be something that is not used in the next 30 years. I think our generation, the generation in high school, and the kids being born right now are the last generations to grow up in social media. I truly believe that. And the reason why I say that is because there's so much data to prove that social media is bad for you. It's not good for your mental health. It's not good for your weight. It's not good. What I mean is like eating disorders, like forcing your fist down your throat to barf everywhere. I'm not laughing at those people. I'm laughing because I used to do that. That's I deal with trauma with laughter. That's what I do. I laugh at things. I make fun of things. I make fun of people. I make fun of places. I laugh because laughter frees my soul. I got to shit real bad. Sorry, we'll hold it. But there's so many studies out there that show like social media is not good for you. It's just not. It's just not. And I think if you told people in the 30s and 40s and 50s that cigarette smoking is going to be gone, pretty much gone by 2022, people would be like, "What are you talking about? There's no way." But we're at a point now where people don't really smoke cigarettes anymore because we know how bad it is for you. And I think you're going to see the same thing in the world of social media. People are going to stop using it because they see the effects that it has on their parents and their grandparents. And I think it's going to be the cool thing to do is not to use social media, and the lame boomer thing, if you will, would be to use social media. Like I truly believe that deep down inside, and I can also see the argument that like it would never happen, but I really do believe that those days of social media are done in like the next 5 decades. Um, I also think people are gonna be living to 100 years old. Taylor asked me like, she's like, "How old do you think?" Or I asked her, I was like, "How old do you think we're gonna live to?" And like 100, like no doubt, unless like unless like something tragic happens, unless I get like shot in the head or I get like hit by. I almost said I'm not gonna say that. That's sad. Unless I get like hit by a car or something, or if I like, fall off a building, something like that. Otherwise, like I'm not, I don't see why you can't live to 100. And like people are eating healthier nowadays, I believe. I think, I don't know. I think America's still fat as shit, dude. We're so fat in this country. We're so fat and we just got fatter, bro. Being fat is not good. Like I don't understand where this like theory, where like this idea that like it's okay to be fat as shit. It's not okay. I mean, it's okay. I guess it's like empowering if you can embrace it maybe, but like guess what feels better than not being like guess what feels better than being fat, being in shape. Like that's just true. And if you really want an affordable healthcare system, what you got to do is get fat people to lose weight because they take up all the resources. I swear to God. I know people who work in the healthcare and it's not good. I just finished I've been reading so much lately. It's been so nice. I finished up Ray Dalio's book about the New World Order, which I thought was fine. It was okay. And then I read Caitlyn Jenner's book, The Secrets of My Life. Pretty good. She she was Bruce Jenner. Um and when she was a he was a superstar, an absolute superstar. I didn't really know much about Bruce. Um, I didn't really know. I don't really know much about her, Caitlyn. But I love. She's fascinating. Caitlyn Jenner is very fascinating because she is a trans woman, and I think the trans community has a. I think they have a tendency to come off as a community that is very progressive, right? And they're very left leaning, right? Um, and she is somebody who is not that, right? Her father fought in World War II, and that's what made me so. I listened to her on Full Send podcast, and I was listening to her, and she was talking about how she, signed a deal with Fox, and how she's not really liked by the trans community, and the trans community doesn't really accept her as who she is. And it's because she's a Republican, right? She ran for Republican governor, and that I think that's like the epitome of the world that we live in. Like you can't be trans enough. Like she's a trans woman, right? Like she should be accepted by that group of people, but she's not because she's not a trans woman who hates Donald Trump, who is a Democrat, who fill in the blanks. Like that like I remember I was listening to Jordan Peterson back in like 2015 and he was talking about like how you can never be woke enough and how when you start dividing people by groups, whether it be age, race, sex, whatever it is, the groups always get tinier and tinier and tinier, and that's a perfect example. Women, men, trans woman. Trans woman has to be a Democrat. Trans woman has to be blah 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 blah. and so you become such a you start you start fracturing off a group of people, and that's when shit starts falling apart. When something becomes too fractured, it falls apart. And you can kind of feel that in our society right now, where everything is kind of fractured. Like, I know for me, I don't have a home politically, and that's beautiful. That's how it should be. You shouldn't have a home politically. You should be powerful to think about what the fuck you want to do. If you're a Republican, but you believe that, guns shouldn't be just, people shouldn't have guns, that's fine. Vote for Republican. Who gives a fuck? Don't vote Republican. Or if you're a Democrat who also believes in capitalism and believes that billionaires should be allowed to get rich, fuck it. Be that person. Who cares? That's another thing. Like, I don't know if I want to talk about it too much, but I did talk about it, the last episode a lot. Like, this idea that, tax the rich, which is a fun. That's another thing. Like, there's a lot of phrases out there are so simple and like are so easy to repeat, like tax the rich, or like what's another one, like get vaccinated, or like wear the mask. Like, a lot of these phrases are so simple to say and they require no thought. There's something about the mask where it's like you it shows on it literally shows what type of person you are. That's very that's odd. That's an odd thing, that if you don't wear the mask, I know who you are, especially the time of the year it was. If you do wear the mask, like, I remember at the gym that I worked at, which is in Annapolis, and a lot, Annapolis is, it's a pretty liberal city. Um, and I remember just the day we were allowed to take it off, it was state allowed. You didn't have to wear a mask indoors anymore. And I remember that day I got so many weird looks from people that, were really, they liked me. They would talk to me every day. They would come up, talk to me at the desk because I had a mask on. They thought I was one of them, I guess. And then when I didn't have to wear a mask anymore, I fucking took that motherfucker off. I didn't want to wear a mask at the beginning of the pandemic. I didn't want to wear a mask the entire and it was not a moment where I wanted to wear a mask. Like, there just wasn't. So, like, when legally I didn't have to anymore, I took it off. But relationships changed after that. People that continue to wear a mask didn't talk to me anymore. They thought I was like, I don't know what they thought. But in my head, I was like, well, you trusted the government when they told you to wear a mask. What makes you not trust them now when they say you don't need to wear a mask? It's the same scientists that are making those decisions, right? You know? And like, at the time you were vaccinated. So if the vaccine works, like, who's the fuck? Remember, I used to tell people all the time at work, I was like, dude, if you've been the vaccine, if because this was back when they said the vaccine works. And I was like, well, if the vaccine does work, you should be able to get the shot, be in a room full of 1,000 people and feel comfortable without a mask on. And they all have COVID. If you got the vaccine and if you believe it works. So if you got vaccinated and you still wear a mask, like, what are you doing? You don't believe the vaccine works then. That's what you're telling me. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not as nihilistic as a lot of people out there because I know humans and I know how easily adapted we can become. I think these next 2 years are going to be fascinating years because 2024 is going to go conservative, right? It's going to vote Republican. I hope it's not Donald Trump. I really don't want Donald Trump in there. Governor DeSantis would be fine, but even him, I don't want someone who's divisive. I want somebody who is can bring us together, but at the same time also get shit done and get our economy back at rock and rolling because our economy is in shithole right now. I think inflation could easily hit 10%. Easily hit 10%. I mean, that is crazy high. 10% inflation will fuck, dude. That's brutal, bro. That's brutal. I mean, 10% is a lot. If you make 100K, now you're only making 90K for the value of the dollar. And that's going to hit everybody. And guess what is not political? Money. When you don't have enough to pay your rent, guess what? You don't get to live anywhere. And I think that's one thing that people are starting to realize. I mean, the approval rates for Biden are just they're horrible. It's like in the 30%. They're horrible. It's absolute dog shit right now. You know, and I'm interested to see what happens in 2024 when it does flip and it goes conservative. Hopefully people don't lose their minds. Hopefully people stay calm. Hopefully the person is not divisive. I don't know who should run, but I really hope it's not Donald Trump. And I I like Ron DeSantis a lot, but I think like for the sake of the country, I think he's too divisive as well. Um, One thing I really do like a lot is I like Elon Musk and what he's doing right now with Twitter. That is powerful. I mean, that is game changer. I know like a lot of the Twitter employees are like freaking out, like, oh my god, Elon Musk is coming here. Like he's I don't know. People think I get people like act like he's a terrorist, like act like he's the worst person in the world because I don't know why. Well, first of all, people don't like wealth. People don't like people who have money. I think it makes them insecure. Um, I can't put my finger on the reason why people don't like wealthy people. I I think a lot of it has to do like with insecurities maybe or like maybe like I think people think that if you're rich it's because you took advantage of other people and it's like no, bro. Like when I like if I start up a Tesla and I put an application to work, like if I put an application out there because we need employees, I'm not forcing people's hands to work for me. You know what I mean? If I'm like Tim Cook or Bill Gates, I'm not forcing people to work for Apple or Microsoft. You know? Like that's the whole argument against like Marxism or like for Marxism and communism. Like capitalism only works because people take advantage of those who are less than. First of all, how dare you tell me someone else is less than if we're all created equal? But like that's just not true. And I think what he's doing with Twitter, if he can buy Twitter, I think it's the greatest thing ever. I really do. You're gonna see a completely different world because Twitter is single handedly like it's one of the most divisive tools in the entire world, if not the entire world. Maybe behind Facebook. I mean, I saw an article come out where I think like Facebook itself, Meta, had to spend 27.8 million dollars in 2021 alone just for Mark Zuckerberg's safety. That's how many people are out to get him, or at least that's what they think. They think that many people are out there to kill him. And I think Twitter is one of those things where if Elon Musk can buy it, like I'm all for it. I had my parents reach out to me like, "How do you feel about Elon doing that?" It's beautiful to me. I love it. I'm a full supporter of it. I know people are gonna be pissed off, but it's good though. That's good. Like you want people to be angry. You want people to hash things out, talk things out, and like on Twitter, if you don't agree with their narrative, like they just kick you off. Like on Twitter, it used to be you used to lose your count if you said things like COVID came from a lab. People would you lose your account, which doesn't seem like a big deal. It's not a big deal for me, but if you're someone who like makes a lot of money on Twitter, that's a huge deal. And now the narrative out there is it did come from a lab, you know? Or if you're someone who said the vaccines they don't work, they don't stop the transmission, they would kick you off. They would say, "What are you talking about? That's this misinformation." They would say, which is such a bullshit word. Fucking hate that word. Disinformation. Disinformation is when you put out fake information to make the other information seem less logical. I don't know, but fucking idiots. um, But that's like true now. If you said mass didn't work, yeah, you'd kick you off of Twitter, but now it's like true. You know, I know for YouTube alone, if I even bring up Ukraine, YouTube says they would take down my video. I'm not even allowed to talk about it, and I think that's dangerous. And I think that's why him potentially buying out Twitter is game changer. I think it's good for everybody because you should be allowed to say what you want on websites, on the internet, as long as it's not hurting somebody or it's not a direct threat to someone's life. It should be fine. And honestly, I think the best thing he could do is just buy it and shut it down. Just buy it and shut it down. That would be incredible. I think that's honestly, I would not be shocked if he did that. I would not be shocked if he bought Twitter, turned it private, shut it down. Could you imagine? People would lose their minds. People on college campuses would go berserk. I know so many people that would just fucking snap. To me, that's so funny. I don't know. I want to talk about one more thing before I let you guys go. Um, it's a touchy subject, but I don't fucking care. I'll talk about touchy subjects all I want because I've always done that on this podcast, and I'm not changing for any reason. I That's what I do. I'm not afraid to say things. I'm not afraid to think things. Like I've never been afraid to say something that's off color or something that could be come off as offensive. I heard a quote a long time ago, and it basically said, or it was from Jordan Peterson, who I love. I've read all of Jordan Peterson's book. I've read, um, but it was basically like you cannot be afraid to, um, you cannot be afraid to offend people. Being afraid to offend people will fundamentally you will lose your freedom of thought, because freedom of thought and freedom of speech is offensive. It's offensive to somebody, and I've never been someone to hide behind what I think, because if I'm thinking something that's wrong, I want to say it. I want to say the wrong thing so so I can learn the correct thing. And a lot of people won't do that. A lot of people are so afraid to speak, and I don't know why. Like I've said things that are offensive. I've said things that are mean. I've done it. We've all done it. And to be someone who thinks that you haven't done it, you're living in in an illusion, because it's not true. We've all done it. I've said things before conversating with people where I can see their whole body change. I'm like, oh shit, I said something that was fucked up. Then I laugh because that's how I deal with shitty situations. Um, but you can never be afraid to speak. You should always speak freely. You should. Elon Musk buying Twitter is going to lead to that. Fucking Vanguard, I think, actually became the biggest shareholder. But he's going to hostile take over it, and I think that's brilliant. I'm fully on board. He's a savage. He's a savage. Elon Musk is a beast. I've let me see. My first post I ever posted of him a long time ago. I've been a fanboy of his for a very very long time. What is this? Let's see this. It's a Joker. I absolutely love it. One of my friends sent me a clip of Joker. If anyone tells you your dreams are too big, just remember there's a millionaire walking around somewhere that invented the pool noodle. I've seen that before. I absolutely love that. My fucking girlfriend's the best. Let me pull up a picture here though. It was a long time ago. Save 2% on annual expenses. Let's go. Always showing. Thank you very much. I love it, dude. You know, man, if you're someone who doesn't have a friend that supports the shit out of you, fuck that person. I have friends that support the living shit out of me, and like I'm not somebody who needs support because I'm crazy enough that I just do things. Like I just do things, whether it be start a clothing company or start a podcast, not knowing which direction I'm gonna go. Because I've always been someone who's like, I'll figure it out. It's always been the way I think about things. I'll figure it out. And sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. I'm trying to find here though. I've been obsessed with Elon for like obsessed. Like I'm not afraid to say that. Like obsessed. I find him to be very, very fucking inspirational. Also used to be in good shape, motherfucker. I'm just fat as shit now. Let me see here. I mean, it's way back there, dude. Fuck, I miss my dog so much. This is 2018. When something's important enough, you do it even if the odds are against you. I have that on a shirt now. Fuck yeah, I got that on a shirt now, boy. The fuck is wrong with me, dude? The Adderall, man. It's so funny. I go back in time, I can see like the pictures of me when I was on Adderall. It was a completely different person. It took away like my craziness though, which I didn't like, because I like my craziness. Hear my belly? Shit's talking like a motherfucker. Damn it, I can't find it. Do. That's oh wow, that's all the way back in high school. There we go. So this is 2017. I posted this August 6th of 2017, and it says, I'm not one to have idols or look up to people, but rather listen and to watch what people do. This man is amazing. He has accomplished things that people thought were impossible. He's a 21st century Einstein. He has never listened to the people who said he couldn't accomplish something, even when it was his idols. This man is a legend. 5 years later, it still holds true. Yeah, people, I mean, people who don't like successful people, I think, are just haters. I think those are people you just don't want in your life. I mean, I truly do believe that because I don't know. I just, the fuck is this? Oh man, that clothing company I had was so fun. Just some of these pictures that are like legendary. I see them, I'm like, oh my god. I went yard. It's fucking yard, dog. So fun, man. I signed up for a baseball league here, or I didn't sign up, but I starting a glass is like eating. Starting companies like eating glasses, staring into the abyss. If you feel like you're up for that, then start a company. Yeah, yeah, man. I think it's. I don't know. I think it's important to be someone who thinks, someone who can challenge thoughts, can challenge a standard idea of thinking. Like you can't be someone who just goes with the patterns. You can't be someone who just gets angry. You got to be someone who works really fucking hard on yourself. You know. So I'm done preaching. Done preaching. But I'm fully on board with Elon taking over Twitter, taking that shit private. Fuck it, fuck it. Let's have fun, dude. Let's have fun, man. But yeah, guys, I think that's really all I got to get into today. I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Over 50 minutes today. I got a shit pack and get ready to go see my family. Very excited to see them. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'll catch you guys on episode 253 of the Michael Lab Show. Peace out. See ya. Have a beautiful, beautiful